Hello, Mayhem Makers. Happy Friday. Back for another week of the Tula Pink Butterfly. Easy week. Same steps as last week. So we're just going to go through real quick. We're doing the small log cabin today. Find it in your color chart. You can also go through pages 13, 15 that show you where they are located within the coloration. You can see I made myself a sticky note because mine are all colored differently. So I had to kind of go between the pattern and my color drawing and determine how many were of which colors and they go where. All kinds of sticky notes everywhere. So if you need to do that, that might be something as you're cutting. Keep them labeled, keep them organized so you don't get confused. But otherwise, the actual process of this block, it's the same. Super easy, same as last week. You're gonna make these cute little, what I call half log cabins because they don't go all the way around. They're just going right side, left side, essentially, or right side, top, just back and forth. What's nice, there are only 4 colors. Easy to pick out your selections. You don't have to try to pick out 8 colors. But because of my drawing, I have a large variety of them. Try to kind of show you my color combos because I know some of you were struggling with color. And they appear essentially all the way through the butterflies. So I have, blue versions, green versions, pink and purple versions, just because of where they're showing up in my butterfly. And I actually got my act together enough that I can show you all the steps without having to sew a single piece. Yay! So start out when you have your pieces cut. You start with your first 2 little 1.5-inch squares, right sides together, 1/4-inch seam, doesn't matter which side, unless you've fussy cut some little cute thing. Then make sure that the one single color is facing whatever direction, and then make sure your next color is going to be on that right hand side. Like how I had to think about right and left? Everything seems backwards. So start in that, you're going to sew together and it will create this piece. Okay? Then what you do is take the first shortest rectangle, right sides together, on essentially what I would call the top. So you have these 2 side by side. You're going to lay this on top, place them right sides together, sew your 1/4-inch seam. And I still am true to my pressing all my seams open. It just still seems easier for me so that later on I don't have to worry about whether my seams are going to butt up or not. I don't like having to re-iron my seams, so I still just keep pressing open. So place those 2 together, sew your 1/4-inch seam, and voila, magic. It'll look like this. Measure it, grab your little ruler wherever it's hiding, and make sure it's doing what you want it to do. If not, trim off anything that's maybe a little too big. In case you're using a scant seam, don't forget, you may have just a little bit of extra. So just measure every time it's square, just keep measuring. So once you get to this unit, find this rectangle. I should have ironed it, but it follows this length. So we're essentially back to that right hand side. We're going to put it right sides together and sew our 1/4-inch seam down this side. So it will look like this. Okay, then you're just going to find its little coordinating mate rectangle, place it on top, right sides together, sew your 1/4-inch seam. This is kind of fun with it all done. It's just so magical. And it will look like this if I turn it correctly. It's been a long Friday already, guys. All right, once again, you take it to your ruler. You make sure you have your ruler facing the proper direction. And you measure. This one's at 3.5. Trim if you need to. Then you take your final color. This is color number 4. You're going to start on that right hand side, right sides together, sew your seam, press it, and magically it will look like this. All right, then find its mate, color number 4, the longest rectangle, Put it on top, right sides together. Sew your 1/4 inch seam, and voila! There. It looks like that. Okay, so easy peasy, pretty much same as last week, but just using 4 colors. So there are 16 of these for this quilt, and depending how you colored it will depend on how many different color combos you need to do. I was fortunate that like 3 of them were all kind of the same in one wing quadrant, so I got to duplicate a couple of them, but then the rest of them I had to do just in pairs because, of course, don't forget we're doing a right side and a left side for the wing, so there's always a pair of whatever color combo you're doing, so don't forget that part of it. But otherwise, yeah, go look at your pretty little drawing. If you have to do sticky notes, I'm queen of sticky notes. I love them, just to keep you organized. And then cut your fabrics, sew them together. If you're super worried about getting lost in your color combos and putting them together, just do one at a time. Pick 4 colors, cut them out, sew your log cabin, set them aside, go on to the next one. That way you don't have to worry about mixing up your stacks, mixing up where everything goes, any of that. Just do one at a time. It's okay. It's however you want to do it, all right? So, as always, if you have questions, reach out to me. Feel free to ask me. If your cabins are still turning out wonky, let me know. We can kind of review how your seams are looking if they're not quite straight, making sure you're trimming, all those kinds of things. Maybe your cutting might be a little off. Any of those kinds of things could be a problem. And don't forget, when you're pressing your seams, you're just going straight up and down, not pushing on them and stretching them out. So those would be the biggest key issues to having a problem with this log cabin block. So just keep those in mind as you're going through the process. Otherwise, if you still have problems, yeah, just let me know. We can go through it. We'll help you out. We'll get it done so it's in a happy state for you and ready to be in your quilt. So enjoy your weekend. Next week's super easy. It's the little teeter-totter block. I think there's 2 of them. So do not stress about getting all 16 of these done. If you don't get them done by next Friday, next week's is super easy. So you have some time to catch up. Or if you're still catching up from last week or whatever, don't stress out. We've got time. So just keep going. I'll go open up a group. If anybody's got some questions from anything, I'll hop in there and we can chit chat. But otherwise, go on. Happy sewing.